Lesson 136. Sickness is a defense against the truth. No one can heal unless he understands what purpose sickness seems to serve. For then he understands as well its purpose has no meaning. Being causeless and without a meaningful intent of any kind, it cannot be at all. When this is seen, healing is automatic. It dispels this meaningless illusion by the same approach that carries all of them to truth and merely leaves them there to disappear. Sickness is not an accident. Like all defenses, it is an insane device for self-deception. And like all the rest, its purpose is to hide reality, attack it, change it, render it inept, distort it, twist it, or reduce it to a little pile of unassembled parts. The aim of all defenses is to keep the truth from being whole. The parts are seen as if each one were whole within itself. Defenses are not unintentional, nor are they made without awareness. They are secret, magic wands you wave when truth appears to threaten what you would believe. They seem to be unconscious, but because of the rapidity with which you choose to use them. In that second, even less, in which the choice is made, you recognize exactly what you would attempt to do, and then proceed to think that it is done. Who but yourself evaluates a threat, decides escape is necessary, and sets up a series of defenses to reduce the threat that has been judged as real? All this cannot be done unconsciously. But afterwards, your plan requires that you must forget you made it. So it seems to be external to your own intent, a happening beyond your state of mind, an outcome with a real effect on you, instead of one effected by yourself. It is this quick forgetting of the part you play in making your reality that makes defenses seem to be beyond your own control. But what you have forgot can be remembered, given willingness to reconsider the decision which is doubly shielded by oblivion. Your not remembering is but the sign that this decision still remains in force, as far as your desires are concerned. Mistake not this for fact. Defenses must make facts unrecognizable. They aim at doing this, and it is this they do. Every defense takes fragments of the whole, assembles them without regard to all their true relationships, and thus constructs illusions of a whole that is not there. It is this process that imposes threat, and not whatever outcome may result. When parts are wrested from the whole and seen as separate and wholes within themselves, they become symbols standing for attack upon the whole, successful in effect and never to be seen as whole again. And yet you have forgotten that they stand but for your own decision of what should be real, to take the place of what is real. Sickness is a decision. It is not a thing that happens to you quite unsought, which makes you weak and brings you suffering. It is a choice you make, a plan you lay, when for an instant truth arises in your own deluded mind, and all your world appears to totter and prepare to fall. Now are you sick, that truth may go away and threaten your establishments no more? How do you think that sickness can succeed in shielding you from truth? Because it proves the body is not separate from you, and so you must be separate from the truth. You suffer pain because the body does, and in this pain are you made one with it. Thus is your true identity preserved. And the strange, haunting thought that you might be something beyond this little pile of dust, silenced and stilled. For see, this dust can make you suffer, twist your limbs and stop your heart, commanding you to die and cease to be. Thus is the body stronger than the truth, which asks you live, but cannot overcome your choice to die. And so the body is more powerful than everlasting life, heaven more frail than hell, and God's design for the salvation of his Son opposed by a decision stronger than his will. His Son is dust, the Father incomplete, and chaos sits in triumph on his throne. Such is your planning for your own defense. And you believe that heaven quails before such mad attacks as these, with God made blind by your illusions, truth turned into lies, and all the universe made slave to laws which your defenses would impose on it. Yet who believes illusions but the one who made them up? Who else can see them and react to them as if they were the truth? God knows not of your plans to change his will. The universe remains unheeding of the laws by which you thought to govern it. And heaven has not bowed to hell, nor life to death. You can but choose to think you die, or suffer sickness, or distort the truth in any way. What is created is apart from all of this. Defenses are plans to defeat what cannot be attacked. What is unalterable cannot change. And what is wholly sinless cannot sin. Such is the simple truth. It does not make appeal to might nor triumph. It does not command obedience, nor seek to prove how pitiful and futile your attempts to plan defenses that would alter it. Truth merely wants to give you happiness, for such its purpose is. Perhaps it sighs a little when you throw away its gifts, and yet it knows, with perfect certainty, that what God wills for you must be received. It is this fact that demonstrates that time is an illusion. For time lets you think what God has given you is not the truth right now, as it must be. The thoughts of God are quite apart from time. For time is but another meaningless defense you made against the truth. Yet what he wills is here, and you remain as he created you. Truth has a power far beyond defense, for no illusions can remain where truth has been allowed to enter. And it comes to any mind that would lay down its arms and cease to play with folly. It is found at any time, today, if you will choose to practice giving welcome to the truth. This is our aim today. And we will give a quarter of an hour twice to ask the truth to come to us and set us free. And truth will come, for it has never been apart from us. It merely waits for just this invitation which we give today. We introduce it with a healing prayer to help us rise above defensiveness and let truth be as it has always been. Sickness is a defense against the truth. I will accept the truth of what I am and let my mind be wholly healed today. Healing will flash across your open mind as peace and truth arise to take the place of war and vain imaginings. There will be no dark corners sickness can conceal and keep defended from the light of truth. There will be no dim figures from your dreams, nor their obscure and meaningless pursuits with double purposes insanely sought, remaining in your mind. It will be healed of all the sickly wishes that it tried to authorize the body to obey. Now is the body healed because the source of sickness has been opened to relief. And you will recognize you practiced well by this. The body should not feel at all. If you have been successful, there will be no sense of feeling ill or feeling well, of pain or pleasure. No response at all is in the mind to what the body does. Its usefulness remains and nothing more. Perhaps you do not realize that this removes the limits you had placed upon the body by the purposes you gave to it. As these are laid aside, the strength the body has will always be enough to serve all truly useful purposes. The body's health is fully guaranteed because it is not limited by time, by weather or fatigue, by food and drink, or any laws you made it serve before. You need do nothing now to make it well, for sickness has become impossible. Yet this protection needs to be preserved by careful watching. If you let your mind harbor attack thoughts, yield to judgment, or make plans against uncertainties to come, You have again misplaced yourself and made a bodily identity which will attack the body, for the mind is sick. Give instant remedy should this occur by not allowing your defensiveness to hurt you longer. Do not be confused about what must be healed, but tell yourself, I have forgotten what I really am, for I mistook my body for myself. Sickness is a defense against the truth, but I am not a body, and my mind cannot attack, so I cannot be sick. Lesson 136 is surgical. Sickness is a defense against the truth. It cuts through every illusion the ego cherishes about the body, health, protection, and even identity itself. No one can heal unless he understands what purpose sickness seems to serve. That right there is the pivot. The Course isn't asking us to fix the body. It's asking us to question why the idea of sickness was chosen in the first place. Not what caused it in form, germs, genetics, trauma, but what called it in as a strategy. Because to the ego, sickness isn't a mistake. It's a decision to defend against the truth, to block the light, to have a reason not to wake up. Sickness says, I can't forgive right now, I'm in pain. It says, I'm not the light of the world, I'm a victim of biology, environment, or sin. It builds a wall and says it's a bed. But don't be fooled, it's a fortress of defense. For then he understands that purpose has no meaning. Once you realize the ego invented the idea of sickness to serve its own survival, you also realize it was based on a lie. That's why the next line is surgical metaphysics. It says, being causeless and without meaningful intent of any kind, it cannot be at all. That's the Course's atomic bomb. If something has no true cause, then it has no true reality. If God didn't create sickness, then it does not exist. Not in form, but in truth. That's not denial of pain. That's denial of illusion. When this is seen, healing is automatic. Not gradual. Not earned. Not managed. Automatic. Because healing doesn't mean the body gets better. It means the mind remembers the truth. It means the need for the illusion is gone. And without the need, the form loses its job. The body may still die. The symptoms may stay or go. But the mind is no longer using the illusion to block truth. It dispels this meaningless illusion by the same approach that carries all of them to truth and merely leaves them there to disappear. Healing isn't an act of force. It's the release of purpose. You don't fight the sickness. You stop needing it. You stop believing it protects you. And without your belief, it melts. Just like every illusion does when you carry it to truth. You don't fix illusions. You bring them to the light. So mighty companions, paragraph 1 already laid the blueprint. Sickness is not what it seems. It has a secret purpose. That purpose is false. When the purpose is gone, healing is instant. Not by effort, but by truth. Let's revisit the word causeless for a second. In A Course in Miracles, causeless means something did not come from God. It wasn't created by love. It wasn't born of truth. It has no source in reality. And here's the clincher. Only what has a true cause can truly exist. If something seems to exist but isn't created by God, then it's not real. It's an effect of a dream, a projection, not a creation. So when the Course says sickness is causeless, it's not saying it doesn't seem to happen. It's saying it has no foundation in reality, no divine authorship. It's a story within a story, a shadow cast by a puppet. Now let's go even deeper, mighty companions. A Course in Miracles, text, chapter 18, section 8, paragraph 2, sentences 5 through 6, as found on ACIM.org. The body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built to separate parts of his self from other parts. It is within this fence he thinks he lives, to die as it decays and crumbles. This is one of the Course's clearest metaphysical indictments of the body's purpose in the ego's dream. A dividing line, a private little prison, a wall against unity. Why? Because the truth is formless, eternal, and invulnerable. The body screams, "Look at me, I'm limited, fragile, and real." Then sickness is a defense within a defense, a second layer of forgetting. The body already hides the mind, and now sickness hides the body's unreality. A sick mind projects a sick body. This is right on course. But even the sick mind isn't truly sick. It's asleep, dreaming it left the source. And it dreams of sickness because sickness is a great distraction. It keeps the dreamer invested in the illusion. I must focus on healing my body, instead of, why do I need a body at all? And here's where the rubber meets the road. If there's no body, how can there be a disease? That's like a double illusion. It's like putting a haunted house inside a dream and then getting scared by a ghost in the attic. But the house isn't real. The attic isn't real. The ghost aren't real. But the fear feels real because the mind believes it. And belief is the projector. So when the Course says sickness is causeless, it's not minimizing the felt experience. It's inviting us to trace the illusion back to its root. And the root is always, I wanted something other than God. I wanted to be special, separate, vulnerable. So I made a body. And when the guilt of separation got too loud, I made it sick. Not as punishment, but as distraction. Sickness is not an accident, not a fluke, not bad luck, not even karma. It is chosen, unconsciously, yes, but intentionally. And not because the soul is broken, but because the ego needs a cover story. And sickness plays the part. See, if I'm sick, then I'm innocent, right? I didn't cause this. I'm not responsible. I'm not powerful. But the Course says, no, you chose this. Not to hurt yourself, but to hide yourself. Like all defenses, it is an insane device for self-deception. Insane because it tricks the mind into forgetting it made it up. A defense always implies a threat. So what's the threat here? Truth. Truth threatens the ego's entire identity. So what does the ego do? It makes a body. Then it makes the body sick. And then it blames the sickness for everything wrong. It's a triple-layer cake of confusion. I forgot I made the dream. Then I made myself sick in the dream. Then I believed the sickness was real. That's insane. And that's the self-deception. Its purpose is to hide reality, to attack it, to change it, to render it inept. Let's go deeper with real-world metaphysical examples. To hide reality, you don't want to see what's really true, that you are eternal, whole, invulnerable. So you distract yourself with symptoms. Like someone cleaning a speck off a mirror, instead of noticing the room is on fire with truth. You look at the body instead of the mind. To attack reality, sickness says, if God is love, why do I hurt? It's a passive-aggressive lawsuit filed against heaven. A way of saying, I reject your wholeness. To change reality, the ego tries to remake truth in its own image. It says, God may be eternal, but I'm mortal. Love may be perfect, but I'm broken. It paints over the light and calls it art. But it's graffiti on glory. To render it inept, sickness says, if truth can't heal me, maybe it's not so powerful after all. It tries to make the truth look useless, like unplugging a lamp and blaming it for being dim, to distort it, twist it, reduce it to unassembled parts. This one goes deep. You want the biggest distraction of all? Fragmentation. You break the whole into bits. The body has parts, organs, systems, symptoms. The world has parts, nations, races, genders, roles. The mind is split into parts, traumas, personalities, diagnoses, and then you spend your life trying to fix the parts instead of waking up to the wholeness you never lost. The aim of all defenses is to keep the truth from being whole. That's the gold bar buried in this paragraph. Truth is one. Love is undivided. Wholeness is not the sum of parts. It's the absence of fragmentation. But the ego can't survive in wholeness. So it builds a maze of parts. Good parts, bad parts, healed parts, wounded parts. And the mind believes, I'm getting better. I'm almost whole. But the Course says, you were never broken, you just forgot. The parts are seen as if each one were whole within itself. This is where we fall for the illusion of autonomy. You think, this relationship can heal me. This career defines me. This trauma damaged me. This therapy will save me. This illness is who I am. Each part seems to be its own little universe. Each symptom seems like its own story. Each identity seems like it operates independently. But that's the trap. You are not the parts. You are the oneness they veil. Defenses are not unintentional, nor are they made without awareness, Gyoam. You knew what you were doing. Even if the conscious mind didn't want to know, the deeper mind made the call. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a fluke. This was a defense. They are secret magic wands you wave when truth appears, to threaten what you would believe. That's the line right there. That's the wand catch. You've built a belief system, a whole structure of identity and experience. And then here comes truth, uninvited. And what do? You wave that wand. Not today, truth. You don't say it with words. You say it with reactions. You say it with withdrawal. You say it with symptoms. You say it with pain, or people-pleasing, or planning, or panic. Any form will do, as long as it works to protect the illusion, because the illusion is what you would believe. And truth? Truth is threatening, not because it harms you, but because it dissolves what isn't you. They seem to be unconscious. Why? Because of the rapidity with which you choose to use them. Rapidity, not just speed, but lightning-fast reflex, so fast, you don't even know you picked up the wand. So fast, you miss the part where you actually made a decision. But the Course says something radical here. In that second, even less than a second, in which the choice is made, you recognize exactly what you would attempt to do, and then you proceed to think that it is done. Meaning, the mind is not innocent here. The mind is not confused. The mind saw truth, flinched, and said, nope, not now. And in that tiny gap, that sliver of choice, you chose defense over freedom. You chose fear over light. And here's the part that humbles us all. You did it in the blink of a thought, so fast it felt unconscious. But it wasn't. It was hidden, not absent. You waved the wand and believed the illusion it conjured. You didn't ask, is this true? You said, make it go away. And the body complied, and the world complied. And you never knew that you were the magician the whole time. Who but yourself evaluates a threat, decides escape is necessary, and sets up a series of defenses to reduce the threat that has been judged as real. You, that's who. There is no committee, there is no council, there is no external attacker. There is just you, interpreting, judging, reacting. You ever see a child flinch before the blow comes? The hand hasn't even moved yet, but the mind already decided it was in danger. And that flinch, that reflex to duck, to hide, to defend, that's what this is. The Course is saying you flinched at the truth, and you built a whole shelter around the flinch. But the blow never came. God never raised a hand. You ducked for a punishment that doesn't exist. All this cannot be done unconsciously. And this is where the blood splatter analysis comes in. The ego says, I didn't mean to. It just happened. Life hit me. But the evidence says, you evaluated the threat, you picked the weapon, you set the trap, you tripped it, and then you played the victim. You knew what you were doing, even if you forgot afterward. And here it comes. Afterwards, your plan requires that you forget you made it. That's the whole game. Make the plan, then forget it was your idea. Make the storm, then act like you got caught in the rain. Make the fire, then scream for rescue. Make the pain, then blame the body. Because if you forgot you made the plan, then it must have happened to you. It seems to be external to your own intent. That's the real sleight of hand. It seems like life is doing something to you, but really, it's just showing you what you asked it to show. You asked to forget God. You asked to be special. You asked for a separate identity, and you got it, but then you forgot you ordered it. And now you walk around saying, why is this happening to me? But the truth is, it's not happening to you. It's coming from you. A happening beyond your state of mind. Nope, that's the illusion. An outcome with a real effect on you, instead of one affected by yourself. You think it landed on you, but it's rising from you. You think it came from the world, but the projector was always in the mind. And here's the real twist. You think it doesn't affect you. You think your defense was neutral. You think it only kept something out. But the defense became the suffering. The wall became the prison. You thought you were shielding yourself, but you were sealing yourself in. You look around and everything you pushed away is now stuck to you. It's not just in the room. It's in the mirror. It's in the body. It's in the news. And wherever you go, there it is, because you brought it. Not because you're guilty, but because you're powerful. And that's the shift. When you remember you made the plan, you can unmake it. You can choose again. You can drop the wand. You can stop ducking. Because there was never a blow coming. Only light. Only love. Only truth. And now that you see the pattern, you don't need the blood splatter. You can tell the truth by the stillness. Third is this quick forgetting of the part you play in making your reality. That makes defenses seem to be beyond your own control. You forgot you picked the dream, so now you're acting like it picked you. You forgot you set the trap, so now you blame the snare. You forgot you lit the fire, so now you run from the heat. But the Course says you only forgot quickly, and what is quickly forgotten can be quickly remembered. What you have forgot, you can remember. Given willingness to reconsider the decision, which is doubly shielded by oblivion. Oh, now that's the line right there. Doubly shielded. It's not just that you forgot. It's that you forgot you forgot. It's like two locked doors. You shut it, then locked it, then lost the key. But the Course is saying, the key is still in your hand. And the only price of remembering is your willingness to look. The ego says, you can't go back there, too much pain. But Spirit says, You only put the pain there to scare yourself from opening the door. Your not remembering is but the sign that the decision still remains in force, as far as your desires are concerned. Oh, that part is cold. You want to know what you desire? Look at what you still believe is real. Desire doesn't lie. Desire projects. If the dream is still running, it's because you still want something from it. Like that sign in the yard, garage sale, no date. People keep showing up because the sign is still up. The decision is still in force, not because truth says so, but because you haven't taken the sign down, even if you forgot you put it there. Mistake not this for fact. Don't confuse the appearance of reality with truth. Just because the garage is full of stuff doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because you forgot your role doesn't mean you're not still playing it. Defenses must make facts unrecognizable. They have one job: confuse you. They take the real and twist it just enough to make the illusion look more believable. Examples: you got it. Love is whole. Defenses say love must be earned. Truth is still. Defenses say truth must be proven. Joy is natural. Defenses say joy is conditional. Peace is already yours. Defenses say you must fight for it. And here's the kicker: they aim at doing this, and it is this they do. They distort facts into fiction and then sell the fiction back to you as fact. They confuse cause and effect. They shuffle the deck until you forget you're holding the ace. But now you know. And now you remember. You made the choice. You can make a new one. The sign can come down. The garage can be cleared. The door can be unlocked. All it takes is your willingness to reconsider the decision. And the light you once feared will be the light that frees you. Every defense takes fragments of the whole, assembles them, without regard to all their true relationships, and thus constructs illusions of a whole that is not there. This is the broken puzzle strategy. You start with a complete, perfect, eternal picture. And then you say, nah, I want to do it my way. So you grab 3 or 4 pieces from the masterpiece and try to make a world out of fragments. You don't check how they fit. You don't care if they belong together. You just stick them next to each other and say, this is real. You build a body. You build a personality. You build a world. All using disconnected pieces that can't make a whole. You think you created something, but what you made can't show you truth, because truth was left behind. That's what defenses do. They don't just distort the picture, they separate it. They tear it, fracture it, shuffle it. And now you can't see how anything connects. But even deeper than that, you only think you took the pieces, because what is whole cannot be divided. You didn't take from God, you just covered your eyes. You believe you've stolen wholeness, but you're sitting there with illusions in your lap, calling them reality. You're holding a handful of pieces and saying, this is the world, this is me, this is what I am. But it's not whole, and it's not true. It is this process that imposes threat, not whatever outcome may result. Oh, that's powerful. The problem isn't the illness. It's not the conflict. It's not the diagnosis, the heartbreak, the storm. The real threat was trying to split reality in the first place. Because once you break the picture, you can no longer see what it meant. When parts are wrested from the whole and seen as separate and wholes within themselves, they become symbols, standing for attack upon the whole. You're not just confused, you're weaponizing the confusion. That's what the ego does. It turns its misunderstanding into an altar. You take a scrap, you isolate it, and then you defend it as truth, a belief, a symptom, an identity. And now it's not just a fragment. It's a god in your dream. And it feels like it works, like it has power, like it means something. And the Course says, you forget what you're doing. You have forgotten that they stand but for your own decision of what should be real, to take the place of what is real. This is your decision. This is your garage sale. This is your puzzle rearranged in the dark. You decided what should be real, and then called it the truth. But all you did was cover the masterpiece with sticky notes and broken pieces, and still, the masterpiece remains untouched. You didn't damage reality, you just blocked your sight. And now, the Course hands you the truth like a mirror. Nothing happened but a decision. And that decision can be reversed. You don't need to chase the fragments. You don't need to glue the puzzle back together. You just need to stop calling it the whole. And the light will show you. It never stopped being whole to begin with. Sickness is a decision, not an accident, not a sentence, not a punishment. It is not a thing that happens to you quite unsought, which makes you weak and brings you suffering. That's the story the ego wants. Poor me. This came out of nowhere. I didn't ask for this. But the Course says you did ask, not to suffer, but to block the light. It is a choice you make, a plan you lay. When for an instant, truth arises in your own deluded mind. Now that's the line right there, let's unpack it. A deluded mind is a mind that forgot what it is. It thinks it's a body, it thinks it's a name, it thinks the world is real and the soul is imaginary. It thinks God is somewhere else, and fear is something true. That's a deluded mind. Now picture this. Truth peeks through the cracks. You feel something stir. Peace, maybe. Stillness. Love without a reason. For a moment, the veil flickers, and you remember, wait, I'm not this. And that's when the ego hits the panic button. Because when truth arises, your world appears to totter. Totter, yeah, like a weeble. Unsteady, wobbly, not yet fallen, but on the verge. That world you built, the job title, the money, the drama, the reputation, the habits, the body, the projections, all of it starts to shake. Because the foundation was never real. It was built on a split mind, and truth is the earthquake. And what happens next? Now are you sick? Now you become sick. So that truth may go away. Not because you hate truth, but because truth threatens your little kingdom. You say, please don't take this from me. Let me keep my illusions just a little longer. Can't I have both? Truth and form. And so you choose to suffer, because suffering buys you time. Suffering becomes the do not disturb sign you hang on the soul's door. Now are you sick? That truth may go away and threaten your establishments no more. Your establishments, your storylines, your attachments, your relationships based on guilt, your version of yourself. Truth threatens it, only because it reveals you never needed it. But you clutch it, like a child hugging a broken toy, saying, don't take this, I'm not ready. But what gave you life didn't give you suffering. What created you didn't create pain. You're yelling at God like, why'd you take it away? But God's whispering, I never gave you that. I gave you everything real. And now you're waking up to the truth behind the trembling. You're not being punished, you're being offered freedom. And the sickness was just the fog machine, just the strobe light, just the decoy you set off when truth came close. But now you see it, and now you can choose again. We're walking through the wobble. How do you think that sickness can succeed in shielding you from truth? That's not a rhetorical question, that's a call to honesty. So how? What are the ways you've used sickness as a shield? Sometimes you say, I can't show up fully. I don't feel well. Or, I'm not strong enough to forgive that right now. Or, this pain proves I'm a body. And if I'm a body, then I must not be light. I must not be spirit. I must not be one with truth. That's the logic. That's the ego's defense plan. Because it proves the body is not separate from you. And so you must be separate from the truth. That's the switch. If the body is me, then I can't be eternal. If pain is happening to me, then love must not be enough. You suffer pain because the body does. And in this pain, you are made one with it. That's how the identity gets glued. Every ache, every twinge, every diagnosis feels like confirmation. See, I am this body. And once you accept that, you're locked in. You've made pain a passport, and truth gets denied at the border. This is true identity preserved. True in quotation marks, because it's not really true. It's ego-certified truth. The kind that comes with evidence, but no peace. And now, the Course goes in for the surgical line, and the strange, haunting thought that you might be something beyond this little pile of dust, silenced and stilled. That's it right there. You know deep down, you're more than this. You've always known. But the ego says, don't go there, don't ask that question, stay small. Because if you remember what you really are, the game is up, the mask is off, the dream is exposed. So you numb the question, you stifle the memory, you hide in the ache. For see, this dust can make you suffer, twist your limbs, stop your heart, commanding you to die and cease to be. Dust. The Course calls the body a little pile of dust, not to insult you, but to liberate you. Because you've given this dust the power of God, you've let it dictate your value. It twists your limbs and you call it fate. It stops your heart and you call it truth. But it's not truth, it's just the final defense. Because if death is real, then God is not. If the body ends you, then there is no spirit to return to. And that's the lie. That's the ego's final spell. So the Course asks, are you willing to see the dust for what it is? A symbol, not a source. A veil, not an identity. A mistaken centerpiece. In a story that was never true. You are not the dust. You are the light that shines behind it. And sickness, only ever a plan, to keep the light from breaking through. But now, the plan has been exposed. The light is rising, and you're ready to remember. Thus is the body stronger than the truth, which asks you to live and but cannot overcome your choice to die. Oh man, that right there is the crossroads. Truth whispers, live. But the ego screams, die as a body so you never remember you're eternal. And you choose it, not because you're evil, but because you're afraid. Afraid of losing your story, afraid of losing your little kingdom, afraid of waking up. So you crown the body as ruler. You say, this is what I am. This is my power. This is my truth. And what does the Course say? Then the body becomes stronger than the truth. Not because it is, but because you chose it. You made the choice to die, to be dust, to be fragile, to be temporary. And that's how you reject eternal life, not with rebellion, but with identification. You say, this world is all there is. This pain is all I know. This body is who I am. God says, live in me. You are my son. You say, no, I'd rather be small. I'd rather be right. I'd rather be dust. And then you look around at the chaos and call it reality. Everlasting life, frail. Heaven, fragile. God's will, opposed by your own. That's what the ego teaches, that your will to suffer is stronger than God's will for peace, that your wish to die is more powerful than God's promise of life. And now it gets surgical. His son is dust, the Father is incomplete, and chaos sits in triumph on his throne. That's the image of ego worship. Dust on the ground, a broken father, and chaos crowned as king. Is that not the world? Turn on the news, scroll your feed, walk outside. You'll see the altar to fear, the throne of judgment, the reign of separation. But it is not true. It is not God's will. It is not real. It is the dream you made, to block the one thing that never wavers, the truth that you still live in Him. And He still lives in you. Such is your planning for your own defense. And it is believed that heaven quails before such mad attacks as these. To quail means to flinch, to tremble, to recoil in fear. And it is imagined that perfect peace, eternal love, all of heaven itself, trembles in the presence of a hallucination. That truth becomes nervous, that God shrinks back, that the light retreats when a little illusion walks into the room. God made blind by illusions, truth turned into lies. This is the belief system behind defense, that if truth can be resisted, then maybe it was never that true to begin with. That if pain can be proven, peace must be conditional. That if one can be offended, innocence must be fragile. And all of this becomes the logic for protecting the lie. The entire universe, enslaved to laws that were never given by God, but born from fear. 3 of those laws are easy to see. The law of separation, everything is apart. The law of attack, defense, is strength. The law of loss, something real can be taken. And then the illusion demands that even God obey these rules, that peace be earned, that love be punished, that heaven be afraid. But then the Course asks the real question: who believes illusions but the one who made them up? Who else can see what was fabricated? Who else can react to it as if it were real? There was once a woman who claimed she had been attacked. She described scenes in vivid detail, voices, faces, injuries, fear. But when the footage was pulled, there was no one there. She was swinging at the air, punching shadows, reacting with terror to a threat that only she could see. When they showed her the video, she paused and said something like, "If that's me, I must be insane." This is how the mind reacts when it finally sees what it's been doing. It believed its own illusion. It reacted to its own projection, and it forgot it made it all up. The illusion was private, but the suffering was real, not because of what happened, but because of what was believed. The truth didn't flinch, it simply waited, still, unchanged, because no illusion, no matter how vivid, can make God blind. God knows not of your plans to change His will, because His will has never changed and never can. What is His will? Oneness, wholeness, eternal life, unopposed. He doesn't know of your plans, not because He's ignoring you, but because illusion has no reality. There is no opposing will in eternity. There is no conflict in pure light. He has one will, because what is real is always one. Love is not plural. Truth is not divided. Peace doesn't come in parts. So when a mind dreams up separation, God does not dream with it. He does not bow to unreality. He waits in stillness. The universe remains unheeding of the laws by which you thought to govern it. The universe isn't taking notes on your trauma timelines. It doesn't bow to man-made time. It doesn't flinch at bodily symptoms. It doesn't pause for opinions, moods, or mantras. You can decree scarcity, judgment, punishment, decay, and the universe remains unchanged. Truth does not blink. Love does not shrink. Reality does not flinch. Heaven has not bowed to hell. There is no negotiation happening between the real and the unreal. There is no meeting halfway. Examples. Heaven doesn't bend to revenge. Heaven doesn't adjust itself to fit your schedule. Heaven doesn't downgrade for politics, war, or theology. And life has not bowed to death. The appearance of death changes nothing about the fact of life. The flower withers, but the life behind it never left. The body dissolves, but the mind was never made of dust. You can but choose to think you die. You're not forced to believe in death, but you're free to believe it. And if the body is what's believed, then death seems inevitable. Or suffer sickness. Not because sickness is truth, but because it seems to offer refuge from truth, a place to hide, a justification for fear, a cover story. You can choose to distort the truth. How? By judging it, by trying to improve it, by putting conditions on it, by calling illusion a fact, by saying, God is love, but look what happened. Distortion happens any time truth is put on trial, in any way. Any form of distortion is welcome in the dream. It's all just different costumes of resistance. But what is created is apart from all of this. Appartamento, not adjacent, not a little outside, not overlapping, totally apart, not in the same building, not in the same field, not in the same reality. Defenses are plans to defeat what cannot be attacked. That's the madness. To build a fortress against a shadow, to aim a sword at sunlight, to defend against an enemy that doesn't exist. And how can something be attacked when it's everywhere, when it's formless, when it's all that is? It's like trying to punch the sky, trying to run from air, trying to escape what holds everything together. What is unalterable cannot change. That's why it's worthy of trust, because it's not shifting with emotions, not bending under fear, not dimming when darkness tries to rise. What is wholly sinless cannot sin. Not partly sinless, wholly. A pie chart of purity is still fragmentation. A soul that's 98% light still believes in separation. But when the mind accepts total sinlessness, there's no entry point for guilt, no pocket for fear, no foot in the door for shame. Sin can't squeeze in where innocence fills everything. And if there's no sin, there's no punishment, no guilt, no attack, no death, just life, just peace, just truth. The veil's not just lifting, it's burning away. And what's left is what was always there. The will of God, unchanged, unchangeable, and already yours. That such is the simple truth. It does not make appeal to might, nor triumph. Truth doesn't show off, doesn't shout, doesn't demand to be crowned. It doesn't need a fight to win. It doesn't need to conquer illusion. It only waits to be remembered. It does not command obedience, nor seek to prove how pitiful and futile are your attempts to plan defenses that would alter it. There's no control in truth, no manipulation, no guilt trip. Truth is not asking for loyalty. It's not hurt by rejection. It's not insecure. It doesn't wave a flag saying, "Obey me." It simply offers peace and waits. Truth merely wants to give you happiness. That's the line. That's the whole thing. Not sacrifice, not loss, not punishment, just happiness. It doesn't want to expose you, or change you, or prove you wrong. It wants to give you what you've always wanted but never trusted, joy without condition. For such is its purpose. And yet, how often is truth misunderstood? It's seen as a thief, a taker, a destroyer of dreams, as if it came to rip away what's loved, to scold, to shame, to rob life of its spice. But that's the ego talking. Truth doesn't want your toys. It wants your joy, Perhaps it sighs a little when you throw away its gifts, not in anger, not in sadness, but in that holy knowing stillness, like a parent watching a child pick a stone over the sunrise. And then it gently asks, "Do you have something better in mind?" Because truth already knows there's nothing better. Not eventually, not someday, but now. It knows with perfect certainty that God's will for you must be received. Not might be, not could be, not only if you're good, must be. Because God's will is happiness, and what God wills is. To receive God's will means to stop resisting what is already given, to stop delaying, to stop bargaining, to stop saying, "Not yet, not me, not this way." It must be received because it was never withheld. And when is it received? Only when the mind chooses to stop throwing it away. Only when the mind says, maybe happiness is not the lie, maybe suffering is. Only then does what was always true feel new again. The truth isn't trying to win, it's trying to give, and it will give, the moment you stop defending against it. It is this fact that demonstrates that time is an illusion. What fact? That God's will for happiness must be received, not delayed, not earned, not scheduled for another season. Must be received. Right there, time collapses, because time says, not yet. God says, now. Time lets you think. What God has given you is not the truth right now. That's the lie. That's the illusion. That's the defense. Time says joy is coming. Truth is almost here. Healing is on its way. But the Course is asking, how can what's eternal not be here now? God could only give in the now, because God is the now. And truth to be true must be now. Love to be real must be now. Peace to be lasting must be now. If it waits, it isn't real. If it depends on time, it depends on illusion. As it must be, the thoughts of God are quite apart from time. That line, that one, is the whole key. What comes from God cannot decay, cannot shift, cannot change. And you are a thought in the mind of God. So what does that mean? It means you are not in time. You were never born. You will never die. You only dreamed of calendars. For time is but another meaningless defense you made against the truth. Time is how the ego delays the inevitable. It's the excuse generator, the deferral machine. It whispers, later. Eventually. You're not ready yet. But truth says, you've never not been ready. You've never not been whole. Time is a way of saying, let me hold on to control just a little longer. Let me heal at my own pace. Let me carry this pain for a few more lifetimes. And the truth waits, unaffected. Yet what he wills is here. Not coming, not pending, not arriving. Here. And you remain, as he created you. Still light, still whole, still untouched by decay. There's a song that once said, always and forever, each moment with you is just like a dream come true. That's what God sings to his son every moment, always and forever. There's no interruption in love. There's no time in peace. There's no distance in wholeness. It's not a process, it's a memory, waking up in real time. Time had a good run, but eternity never left. Truth has a power far beyond defense, because defense assumes a threat, but truth has no opposite, no rival, no adversary. Truth doesn't fight, it shines, and in its presence, illusion cannot remain. For no illusion can remain where truth has been allowed to enter. It's like light in a dark room. Once the light is on, darkness doesn't argue. It doesn't retreat with protest. It just disappears. silently, without negotiation, because it was never a thing to begin with. It had no mass, no source, no will, only the appearance of being, as long as the light was resisted. Truth comes to any mind that would lay down its arms and cease to play with folly. Lay down the weapons, the justifications, the cleverness, the blame, the performance. Cease to play with folly. Folly, that game of pretending to be what you're not, of testing the boundaries of truth as if it had weak spots, of flirting with separation, of making pain look deep, of wearing guilt like it's noble. Truth doesn't come to punish, it comes to end the game. And the second the weapons are dropped, truth enters, no delay, no waiting period. It is found at any time. There is no scheduling, no queue, no permission slip. Truth doesn't say, "Get your life together, then I'll come in." It waits for the one moment when welcome is extended. Today, if you will choose to practice giving welcome to the truth, that's all it takes. Practice welcoming, not earning, not climbing, just opening. And here's where the metaphor sings. Like in Sinners, the house was safe until the vampire was invited in. But here, it's reversed. The light is waiting outside, and the house is the mind. The truth does not force its way in. It stands silently, waiting for permission. Because love does not violate, light does not intrude, and salvation does not drag. It is invited. So today, if the house is still, and the defenses are dropped, and the door is open, truth will enter, and the shadows will leave, quietly, permanently. No begging, no striving, just a simple invitation. Come in. This is our aim today. To give a quarter of an hour twice to ask the truth to come to us and set us free. Simple, clear, no effort required, just the open ask. Come, truth, come to me and set me free. Not truth with conditions, not truth that needs proof, just truth, as it always is. And truth will come, for it has never been apart from us. That's the secret. Truth doesn't travel, it doesn't arrive, it gets uncovered. It says, "I've been here the whole time. I've been in your stillness, behind your thoughts, underneath the noise. Where else would I go, lovely one? What else would I choose but to be with you?" It merely waits for just this invitation which we give today. Truth doesn't chase, doesn't coerce. It waits, still, certain. And today, that waiting ends. We introduce it with a healing prayer to help us rise above defensiveness, defensiveness, that anxious clenching, that barrier of blame, that need to explain, justify, protect, perform, that trembling need to say, "But you don't understand." Today, that ends. Today, we rise, not by force, but by allowing. We let the truth be as it always was. Not reinvented, not dressed up, just remembered. And here comes the heart of it all. Sickness is a defense against the truth. That means healing is not a cure, it's a return. Return to what? The truth of what I am. And what is that truth? I am whole. I am light. I am changeless. I am the effect of God's love. Not the body, not the story, not the label, not the diagnosis, but the truth of what I am. And let my mind be wholly healed. Holy, meaning no fractures, no leftover guilt, no secret sins, nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing needing to be hidden. Wholly healed, because it was never really broken. Today, we give those 15 minutes, and truth comes without fail. Not because of what we do, but because of what we stop doing. No defenses, no distractions, no delay. Just the open door, and the light walks in. The house is warm, the table is set, and truth is already home. Healing will flash across your open mind, as peace and truth arise to take the place of war and vain imaginings. Not slow, not gradual, flash. Because nothing actually needed repair, only remembrance. So what is this war the Course speaks of? The war is self against self, the mind against itself, the child against the father. The war is, I am not enough. I am separate. I must protect. I must punish. I must prove. And what are vain imaginings? The belief that value can be found in form, that peace comes from power, that meaning comes from suffering, that love can be lost. War and vanity, the ego's entire schedule. But when truth is welcomed, all that goes. There will be no dark corners. Sickness can conceal and keep defended from the light of truth. Truth sweeps the whole house, corners, closets, basements of memory, rugs with secrets under them, beds where shame sleeps. Gone. Not one shadow gets to stay, because light doesn't fight darkness, it replaces it. There will be no dim figures from your dreams, nor their obscure and meaningless pursuits, with double purposes insanely sought. Dim figures, faded characters from the ego's theatre, puppets of guilt, faces used to tell old stories. Gone, because the script is no longer being cast. And what about double purposes? That's the ego's favorite trick. Relationships meant to love, but secretly punish. Careers meant to create, but secretly dominate. Spiritual practices meant to heal, but secretly control. Double purpose means saying peace, while hiding attack, saying unity, while seeking specialness. The mind becomes tangled in contradiction. That's the sickness. But now it's being healed. It will be healed of all the sickly wishes it tried to authorize the body to obey. What are some of those wishes? Make them love me. Get revenge for me. Make me more attractive. Make them jealous. Numb this pain. Prove my worth. Distract me. Make me look holy. The body was sent out like a soldier, fighting for fantasies, obeying orders born of guilt. But the body was never the problem. It only followed what the mind believed. Now the belief is healed, and the body is set free. No more sick assignments, no more dim pursuits, no more defending shadows. Just the flash of healing. The mind is no longer split, the house is no longer dark, and truth didn't just arrive, it was always here. Now is the body healed, because the source of sickness has been opened to relief. The source was never the flesh, never the muscle, never the bone, never the blood. The source was belief, the belief in separation, the belief in sin, the belief that truth had left. Now the mind turns toward light, and the illusion of sickness has nowhere left to hide. You will recognize you practiced well by this. The body should not feel at all. Now pause right there. Not feel good, not feel bad, not feel sick, not feel strong. The body should not feel at all. Why? Because it's a neutral instrument. It was made by the ego, yes. But once placed in the service of spirit, it becomes useful, not real. If you are still gauging your peace by how your body feels, then you're still living under the body's laws. If you have been successful, there will be no sense of feeling ill or feeling well, no pain, no pleasure. Because both are measurements, and truth cannot be measured. Pain and pleasure are the ego's barometers. They tell you how real the body is today. They keep attention on the form. and off the mind. But truth needs no thermostat. Truth is constant. Truth just is. No response at all is in the mind to what the body does. The body may move, the body may sleep, the body may tremble, the body may dance. But the mind, when it's healed, doesn't flinch. The mind doesn't say, "Look what my body's doing." It says, "None of this is me." No anxiety, no pride, no guilt, no shame. Just awareness, just clarity, just peace. Its usefulness remains and nothing more. The body becomes like a lamp. It shines because it's plugged in, not because the lamp is the light. It becomes a pointer, a mirror, a neutral vessel. But not an identity, not a prison, not a story. Now the body is not glorified, nor condemned. It is simply used. Like a paintbrush in the hand of spirit, not to make reality, but to reflect it. So what does this mean practically? It means every judgment, every hurt, every anger, every, how could they say that? Every, how could they do that? Every, they should have known better, is a worship of the body, because it's always the body that seems to speak, the body that seems to act, the body that seems to sin. But the truth says, that's not where it's happening. That's not the cause. The mind is the author, and only in the mind can the dream be rewritten. This is how you see the Christ in all, not by liking their behavior, but by no longer believing their body has the power to define them. No longer letting their pain write your script, no longer letting your body sensations decide your reality. Only truth, only light, only mind. The body has been relieved of its role, the mind has returned to its function, and the Christ is remembered, not in form but in peace. Perhaps you do not realize that this removes the limits you have placed upon the body by the purposes you gave it. Every purpose the ego gave the body was based on fear, defense, or fantasy. What are some of those purposes? To attract admiration, to defend against vulnerability, to seduce, to compare, to perform, to age, to suffer, to prove something real must die, to separate minds by form. Every one of these is a limiting purpose. Why? Because they tie the body to identity and identity to time. But now, those purposes are being laid aside. As these are laid aside, the strength the body has will always be enough to serve all truly useful purposes. So what are those truly useful purposes? To be a light in someone's day, to walk across a room and hug without defense, to speak a word that lifts instead of lowers, to carry the message of peace, even in silence, to demonstrate that love is not of this world but moves through it. The body becomes a lamp, a signpost, a servant of stillness. The body's health is fully guaranteed because it is not limited by time. Now that's the ego's worst nightmare. The body is no longer ruled by age or clocks or cycles or cells. It becomes timeless in function because time is no longer its master. Not limited by weather or fatigue or food and drink or any laws you made it serve before. Why is that? Because the body is no longer the source of life. Its job is not to be the light, just to carry it. And when the mind is healed, the body only does what it's asked to do, with no resistance. The laws of nutrition, sleep, medicine, decline, all fall under the mind's authority now. And when the mind no longer believes in guilt, sickness becomes impossible. You need do nothing now to make it well, for sickness has become impossible. Not because the body became holy, but because the mind stopped accusing. No guilt, no defense, no secret fear, no self-attack. So what is left to be punished? What is left to be wounded? Sickness was a signal of separation, but separation is no longer believed. So healing isn't an achievement. It's just the natural result of truth returning. The body has been liberated, the mind has been restored, and sickness has lost its job. Yet this protection needs to be preserved by careful watching. This is not vigilance against enemies, it's vigilance against forgetting. Peace doesn't defend itself, but the ego never sleeps. So, the mind must be watched, not policed, not punished, just gently observed, like a sleeping child. If you let your mind harbor attack thoughts, that's the first crack in the healing, the first echo of guilt coming back. So what's an example of harboring attack thoughts? They don't respect me. They're in my way. I hope they get what's coming. I can't believe they said that. They're the reason I'm not at peace. That's harboring. It's not a passing thought. It's an adopted belief. It's offering it a room in the mind and calling it justified. If you let your mind yield to judgment, that's the ego's favorite comfort food. Judgment feels like clarity, but it's just separation in disguise. Judgment says, I'm the observer, they're the observed. I'm the evaluator, they're the problem. But the moment the mind yields to judgment, it forgets itself. If you make plans against uncertainties to come, this is the illusion of control, the attempt to predict and manage what only trust can hold. Planning, not for function, but for protection, is a way of saying, God may not come through, so I better prepare my own safety net. But in that moment, the self is misplaced. You have again misplaced yourself and made a bodily identity. Because who needs to defend the future? Who fears uncertainty? Only the one who thinks it is the body. And that bodily identity will always turn on itself. It will attack the body. For the mind is sick, and a sick mind doesn't know how to care for the body. It turns the body into a battleground, into a mirror for guilt, into a sponge for punishment. The body is never the attacker. It is the canvas for a confused mind's beliefs. And when the mind believes in separation, it punishes what it thinks is itself, but that self is now a body. So attack begins again, from within. Not because the body deserves it, but because the mind has forgotten. And so it has but no choice. That line is haunting, because a sick mind doesn't see options. It reacts, defends, plans, judges, lashes out, all in the name of protection. But it is protecting the very identity that hurts it. This is why healing must be watched, not because it's fragile, but because the ego is subtle. And every time the mind strays into judgment or fear or control, it builds a body again, and that body becomes a target. But the truth waits. The light stays lit, and the moment you look again, the illusion dissolves. The healing is real, the mind is strong, but the peace must be kept by remembering who you are. Give instant remedy should this occur by not allowing your defensiveness to hurt you longer. That's the whole key. Don't analyze it, don't argue with it, don't spiritualize it. Just don't let it hurt you any longer. The moment the mind defends, that's the call for healing. Not shame, not guilt, just clarity. Do not be confused about what must be healed. Not the body, not the behavior, not the relationship, not the past. The mind. But tell yourself, I have forgotten what I really am. That's the honesty. That's the return. I have forgotten means I stopped looking. I got distracted. I believed the projection, for I mistook my body for myself. Yes, that happened. That belief took root. That identity was worn. So how did the body become the self? By attaching meaning to pain, to pleasure, to shape, to role. By saying, I am this form, I am this name, I am what happened to me. But the Course calls that what it is, a mistake. Not a sin, not a crime, just a mistake in identity. Sickness is a defense against the truth. But the truth doesn't need defending, it needs remembering. So now say this with light: I am not a body. Because I cannot be reduced, I cannot be contained, I am not vulnerable. And my mind cannot attack. Why not? Because the mind God created shares his nature, and what God is can never attack, can never condemn, can never fear. The mind that attacks is not the real mind. It is a dream fragment, a fiction. The real mind is one with God. And if God is only love, and the mind is only his, then there is no room for sickness, no place for punishment, no home for guilt. So I cannot be sick. Not because the body is perfect, but because the mind is whole. And where there is no guilt, there is nothing to punish, nothing to project, nothing to protect. Only peace, only stillness, only love. That's the instant remedy. That's the end of the illusion. Not through struggle, not through waiting, but through truth remembered. You are not a body, you are free, because you remain as God created you.